Man, I would hate to be the guy at marketing at DC right now. I mean, the moment they hear the news, they're probably deciding to go on antidepressants. Imagine, no, seriously, imagine yourself being in that position where you have to sell this comic. That is like the hardest job on earth now. It's like trying to sell oppression to communists. It's very difficult. Um, yeah, I mean, the new Wonder Woman will feature real-world heroes, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other American women I didn't hear, nor do I give a fuck to hear about. And it's so bizarre, you know, like how do you plan to sell this? Like if I was the guy with the marketing, I would go to the person that wrote this and ask him like, look man, be serious, how many? Just how many blows to the head did you take before you thought that this is going to make us money? Like how do you expect me to sell this? Yeah, you'd be insulted just by suggesting that someone should pay money for this. I mean, this is blatant propaganda. If you want propaganda, like, give me money to read it. At this point, you have to pay me to buy it. And then you have to pay me extra to even read it. You know what the difference between art and propaganda is? Because I said it a couple of times on this channel. If you don't know it already, then shame on you. The difference is that art is like a painting. You look at it, and then you make your own interpretation of what it means. And propaganda, it makes absolutely sure you get the message. There is no other interpretation. And for example, here it's like, well, they're real world heroes. But how the fuck is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a real world hero? Like, when did she risk her life to save someone? In fact, when did she save someone's life? Like, what exactly did she do that got a person saved? Like, that's a hero to me. When I think of heroes, I rarely think about politicians. Unless it's like a politician during a time of war, and you can say, oh yeah, Winston Churchill, you know, he saved us from being conquered by the Nazis or whatever. But like some random senator, and you look at this list, right? And obviously all of them are left-leaning, and it's like politician, CEO, you know, just some rich fucks that are now being held as heroes. It's so fascinating. It's like these people are left-leaning, right? They should care about the working class, and not a single one of these people are an impoverished, you know, working class person. Like all of them are pretentious twats. Very, very interesting, and reminds me when they no, these people are insane. Like they tried pushing Wonder Woman as the women ambassador at the United Nations. It goes to show that they're like children. They're freaking children. How can you push a fictional character as the woman ambassador? And to make the story even great, the Islamic community, the representatives of Islamic communities complain that she's not covered up. I know it sounds crazy, but like Google it. You know, like you think what I'm saying here is a joke. No. Like Google it. It's true. It has happened. It has transpired. This is real. Do you know how they could actually get their propaganda? Like how I would push it in a way that might actually sell comics? Like why can't you have a story where, I don't know, someone like the Joker hides some weapons in a hospital, and you got one of the superheroes from the Justice League that goes overboard and destroys that hospital, and it turns out that there were no weapons, it was just a hospital of children or whatnot. So now you have like public outcry to defund the Justice League, and AOC is one of the politicians that wants to do it or something. Wouldn't that be an interesting comic, huh? Wouldn't that be, I mean, I don't know if it would be the best, I don't know, but like it would at least be a step up from what they're doing. Imagine if you had to read some Japanese manga, and it's some like random Japanese politicians you've never heard about. You know, imagine you get your issue of Dragon Ball, and it's like Goku talks to, you know, some Japanese premier and scolds him on his bigotry, and what the hell? What the hell? Why would I care? Yeah, like this is what they don't understand when you talk about like get your politics out of comic books. They don't really talk about like comic books shouldn't be political, because it's fine to have politics in comic books. It just means like stop making them preachy. Stop alienating people. If I'm a right winger, I don't consider these to be real world heroes. That's a subjective interpretation of the writer. Okay, like put these characters that you like, put them in heroic situations, and don't use real people because it's cringy as fuck. You know, use at least some people that are an illusion. to the real person, but like, let me show you what they're doing, right? Like, let me show you how subverted their moralities are. Let me show you how these people don't even understand what a hero is anymore. Like, in this position, their heroes are actual villains. So I remember like this comic from a while ago, and it was about some misogynist television producer. Like, that's so lame. Like, so lame. Out of all the villains you can come up with, like, what is this guy's superpower? Misogyny. Oh, I see. Okay, so Wonder Woman needs to handle it. Like, it can't be handled by some police officer. No, Wonder Woman needs to descend from the heavens in order to solve misogyny. So what does she do? Okay, she immobilizes the guy. Like, she wraps the guy with the lasso of truth. So he is already being held prisoner, right? He's no longer a threat. And they ask him questions, and, he basically, I forgot exactly what he says, but he says something in the lines of, like, women can't be as good as men, or, like, he's insulting towards women, he's being disparaging. And this is the heroic thing, like, after the guy is tied up, after he is fought, like, he is not capable of being diplomatic at this point. He is not capable, like, of doing anything but, like, just saying what he actually thinks. And he gets punched in the face. This is heroic, right? I'm sorry, but this is not heroic to me. Like, people that are being tied up, being punched in the face is not heroic. If a cop would do this in real life, like, let's assume, you have, like, some police officers restraining someone, and then the person starts, being racist towards white people or whatnot, and the cop punches him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that CNN would take a stance against it. They would be upset. They would say, you know what, this is not okay. Like, this is police brutality or whatnot. This is Justice League brutality that you see here. Defund the Justice League. #changemymind.org. No, but like, it's really bizarre. I mean, I remember when comic books used to be for everyone. And I mean literally everyone. Like, when they say they're inclusive, they actually mean, like, no, we're left-leaning. If you don't like this shit, don't buy it. They used to go into politics in a very interesting way. Like the X-Men, for example. The X-Men were supposed to represent minorities struggling for their rights. But it was done in a way that you noticed the X-Men weren't viewed as 100% good. I mean, there were evil mutants out there. They're like people like Magneto that wanted to harm others and didn't really care about the people he is hurting, right? I mean, it wasn't propaganda. It wasn't like the mutants don't do anything and all of the phobia against mutant kind is unjustified. No, like, they actually did have a couple of mutants that did bad things, and it was normal for people to be afraid. And then you have the Civil War that Marvel did, right? Like, the Civil War came after the Patriot Act in the United States. And you had, in this story, nothing to do with George Bush or the Patriot Act or anything like that. It was just like, I think one superhero accidentally destroyed a school bus with some kids inside, which caused massive public outrage. And the public then wanted the superheroes to be unmasked. So you now have Iron Man on the side of big corporations and big government wanting superheroes to be held accountable. And on the other side, you had Captain America, who was like, no, the masks help us because it keeps our family and friends safe. Like, we need to be able to have the masks. So you have like this big clash, and it's up to the viewer to decide which one is the more moral. Like, is Captain America right or is Iron Man right? Like, that was good storytelling, good politics that are being pushed into comic books. And then there's the, I think like it was in DC, like they were having an election and certain superheroes came up to be Republicans while other superheroes came up to be Democrats. For example, Green Lantern was a Republican and Green Arrow was a Democrat. And it was like, again, like if you're a person that's a teenager and not into politics, you don't feel when you read the comic book that stuff is being shoved down your throat. You don't feel like you're reading some USSR propaganda. But they don't get that. Like they don't understand it anymore. They're so utterly clueless. Yeah. You know why? I think like they're trying to bypass the consumer. The more you dig into it, the more you find out about interesting things. Like they had this comic, this rewrite, which is Superman against the Klan. And I looked at it, right? Because it's like an old comic book. It was very famous and popular. So I wanted to see how they've remade it. And it was progressive garbage. They're basically trying to say that the Klan is the conservatives right now. Like, they're drawing parallels. It's like, oh, look, the Klans didn't like immigrants. Conservatives don't like illegal immigrants. And therefore, like, it was like just this constant thing. But anyway, right, when I look at the most weird thing, it was the price. $9.99. I'm like, who the hell pays $9.99 for a comic book? Like, if I was a kid now and I had $9.99, I would either give it to a Twitch streamer, or I would probably buy some video games, you know, like some DLC or something. Like, I would not buy a comic book for that price. So I look at the person that wrote the comic book, and it turns out the person who wrote the comic book is a... If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm like playing with this. It belongs to my girlfriend. It's like, chuck, chuck, chuck. The crocodile, I call it. Chuck, chuck, chuck. Anyway, I'm looking at the guy, and he's very vocal about his business plan. And he wants to bypass the consumer altogether. All socialists want to bypass the consumer. Like, they want to go to that sweet taxpayer money, because that's where socialism thrives and leftism thrives, right? Like, they just want to take your money by force, basically. And what he wants to do is to sell it to schools and libraries. So they're banking on the fact that people in schools and libraries are also into social justice, and they might order like 150, 1,000 issues, and that's how they're going to make money, right? It's got absolutely nothing to do with the customer anymore. And other people, which, for example, I think this person that's writing this crap, they're waiting for prizes, right? Like, the New York Times considered this comic book to be the best ever. Like, look at this one, you know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, new party, who this? This type of bullshit, right? It's like, oh yes, the New York Times, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comic book, oh, greatest ever. And it's the prizes that they get that then they use as street cred, and they also hope maybe Netflix or, you know, someone will pick up their bullshit and put it on a big screen, on a television or some shit. That's why they don't care about the consumer. Because if you look at what these people say on Twitter, if a grocery store owner would talk to you like the way they do, you'd never frequent that grocery store again. Like, in fact, you'd probably get some of your friends to start peacefully protesting in front of it. Yeah, I mean, the way they treat consumers is astonishing. And I wonder for how long will it work. And I wonder how many of these copies is going to sell. Like, I don't think this is even going to sell more than a couple of issues, like 2 issues maybe. And here's another thing that annoys me. It's like, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't look like this. Like, get the fuck out. She just like, look at the real life. Where are the... what is it? Psycho girlfriend eyes, you know? Like, what is her grimaces and facial expressions and whatnot? It's like, this would actually look more like AOC to me. Oh my god. Anyway, let me know what you think. And oh my god, is this supposed to be a Jewish woman? Like, this is so stereotypically drawn. My god, this is so bad. Oh god, look at what they did to the nose. Holy shit. If a right-winger drew something like this, it would be considered racism. I guarantee it to you. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys in the comments.